In this video, we're going to look at what is a complex number, look at the definition, and then look at some basic operations. And again, this is just the basic ideas of complex numbers. There's a whole course you can take on complex numbers or complex analysis at the college level. But let's look at the definition here. So a complex number is a number that can be written in the form a plus bi, where a and b are real numbers, and I equals square root of -1. This is your imaginary unit. Okay, we know the square root of a negative number does not exist. It's a real number. That's why it's called an imaginary number. Square root of -1. So that's your unit, and it's by definition the square of I is -1. Okay, the square of any real number is never negative. It's always 0 or positive. The real number a is called the real part. Okay, so look at that. This right here is basically your standard form. When they say write your answer in standard form, they mean write it in this format right here, a plus bi. So the real number a is called the real part, and the real number b is called the imaginary part because it's connected to this I over here. Okay, so we want to note here that if I write the number 2, which is real, I can write this as 0. Or take it back here. I can write 2 as 2 plus 0 I. Okay, a and b are real, but either one could be 0. So 2 equals 2 plus 0 I wrote it in the standard form, so 2 is a complex number. And obviously I could do that with any number, right? 3 would be equal to 3 plus 0i. So we can say then that the set of real numbers, which of course includes rationals and irrationals, are a subset of the set of complex numbers. So any real number is going to be complex. Okay, not every complex number will be real. And look at what we have here. Perform the following operations and simplify. Write your answer in standard form. That's the form a plus bi. So we can multiply. Obviously, if you're adding or subtracting complex numbers, just treat the I like an x and combine like terms. Nothing to it. If I have 3 plus I, now when I add to that, say 3 minus 2i, just treat the I like an x, combine like terms. 3 and 2 is 5. 1i and minus 2i is minus 1i, or just minus I. Okay, so if they want it in the standard form, then we just write this as 5 plus -I. Okay, we clear this. Now if you're multiplying again, just treat the I like it were an x, a y, just any variable, and just multiply as usual. And then if you wind up with a I squared or an I cubed, then you have to simplify. So if your answer comes out to, if you have an I squared as a product of with some number, that, well, we know that I squared is -1. Okay, and you write your answer. Or if you have I cubed, we know that this is the same thing as I squared times I. We know I squared is -1, so this will be -1 times I divided this just minus -1, or -I rather, and so forth. If I have, say, I to the 4th, I know that's the same thing as I squared times I squared. Okay, that'd be -1 times -1, so this would just be +1. Okay. Other than that, it's just basic multiplication of binomials, or a monomial and a polynomial or binomial and so forth. So in this case, I'm doing this product. I go 4i times 3, that's 12i. And then 4i times I, that's a plus 4i squared. Of course, I squared is -1, so this would just be a -4. So it's just to rearrange this as -4, and then plus the 12i, just to get it in the standard form, a plus bi. Okay, clear this. Okay, for this one here, remember I is the square root of -1. So you can treat I like a radical. So generally what they tell you is when you're simplifying, you never want to leave a radical in the denominator. Oops. So we would just do this. Multiply this by I. Multiply the numerator by I. That's legal because all I'm doing is multiplying by I over I, which is 1. Doesn't change it. So I get 5i on top. On the bottom I get I squared. But I squared is -1. So this will give me a -5i. Okay. And in the standard form, I could just write this as 0 plus -5i. And that would be your answer. Okay. These are just basic operations. Like I said, you could take an advanced course in complex analysis and deal with complex functions and so forth. But we're just going over the basics here. Clear this. And then for this one, again, multiplying the sum and the difference of the same two terms. You can do your regular multiplication there, but this is going to be 5 times 5 is 25. Minus I times I is minus I squared. And then you're also going to have here this product here is 5i, and this is minus 5i. So those are going to cancel, so basically I'm left with this. But I squared is -1. And then minus over here makes this a plus. So that gives me 25 plus 1 is 26. Okay. And then write it in your standard form. This would just be 26 plus 0i. Okay, just a short video just to talk a little bit about complex numbers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.